Hello, school family. Happy Monday. Today is the last official day of our spring break. I hope that even if you had to work during this time while our children were off, that you were able to get some relaxation in, some time away from the computer, and just really enjoyed some time with family or friends, and are ready to move on to this week and rock and roll with virtual or in-person learning. We had a very great spring break. Sometimes when I'm away from working too much, I kind of start to feel out of sorts. So I definitely am excited to get back to school tomorrow and start now the official push to the end of the school year. It is really hard for me to believe that it's already April. And before you know it, it's going to be June. Our kindergartners are going to be being promoted and graduating to first grade. It's just unbelievable how quickly time is going. And it's been such a great school year so far. And we are going to finish out the year and it's going to be wonderful. Before we get started with our work of the week, just a couple logistical things. This first thing is incredibly important for this week because we are off today. Just like how we did before, prior to when in-person learning began, when we would have a full virtual week, we would have that Wednesday off. Since we are off today, we now do not have an asynchronous day in our schedule. So Tuesday and Wednesday are now going to be cohort A days. So this is really important for my students that come in cohort A. So you're going to be coming to school tomorrow and on Wednesday. That's a big change because we've never been in school on Wednesday before. But just like how we used to do with the virtual schedule, Wednesdays disappear when our students have a day off during the week. So cohort A, Tuesday, Wednesday. Cohort B will stay the same on Thursday, Friday. But for my virtual students, normally on that Wednesday day, you're only coming to class meeting and you're only doing a one-on-one session. Now it will be a live instruction day. So we have 4 synchronous days where we're going to be on live together. There is no day that's kind of that rest day in between. Okay, so I will see my cohort A students tomorrow and on Wednesday in person, and then my cohort B students Thursday and Friday in person. My virtual students I will see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all on the computer. Okay? Another thing that's important to remember, the day before we left for spring break, I did send out our new schedule that we are starting tomorrow. It is different from the schedule that we were working prior to spring break. The one big thing we talked about is that our specials time that was in the afternoon, it got switched to the morning, is moving back to the afternoon, which I'm actually really excited about. I feel like our students are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed early in the day, and by the time the end of the day comes, they get a little bit more wore out, and it's harder for them to focus on those academic skills. So the fact that we're going back to having that specials in the afternoon, they love their specials time. They get to do all those different arts integrated activities in there. So having that in the afternoon and being able to have them live in the morning for instruction is definitely going to be helpful. I am going to attach the schedule again to this email, but if for some reason you want it texted to you or you want it in a different format, just let me know. But please keep in mind that that schedule is going to be still the same time frame, but it is going to be a little bit different than what we've been working for the last few weeks with in-person and virtual instruction. Okay, so make sure you take a good look at that. All right, let's jump into our work of the week. For shared reading this week, we are going to be talking about what can get you from here to there. So that's going to be our big question, that essential question. The overarching topic is what can get you from here to there. So we're going to be doing some focus in on transportation. What are the different ways that we can travel? Our students probably already have a pretty big brain file about this. So remember, my friends, we always take out our brain file. We open it up and you share with me the things you already know. Parents, we might refer to this as your prior knowledge or your background knowledge about something. So they might already have a lot of information about things that get us from here to there, different types of vehicles. But we're going to build on that through instruction this week to maybe some things or some topics that they don't already know about. Okay, so on Monday, we're going to be doing a book that I really enjoy. It's a fictional text called When Daddy's Truck Picks Me Up. And we're going to do that on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on the relationships between the illustrations and the text. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do characters and setting. Again, we always talk about how these standards are repeating. We see them show up every week, but with a different text. This gives our students an opportunity to continue to practice those standards. They're getting really good now at using that content and writing time to independently work, whether they're in person or virtual, to show me what they know and produce it in the work that they're doing for me on Jamboard. or whatever we're deciding to use that day. So these standards are going to continue to repeat so that we can reach mastery level. That's the goal. By the end of the year, we're able to do these different objectives completely independently. Of course, will some of the standards or objectives still need a little bit of finessing, might need a little bit of one-to-one support, whether that comes from me or from you at home? Sure. But the goal is to reach mastery in that. So we're doing a really good job. So that's Tuesday and Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to do those interactive read aloud cards. And this is a fictional text as well. It's a folktale called The King of the Winds. And we're also going to do characters and setting with that. I really like it when the standards match up with different texts, because then that really gives our students that repetitive practice. It's really good for them. And then on Friday, we're going to read a book called From Here to There. It's a very short text. And that's going to be about making connections. That's going to be our objective for Friday. So personal connections, text-to-text connections, text-to-self connections, all of those kinds of things. Okay, so that's for shared reading. For phonics this week, okay, my friends and parents, I am very excited. We are now moving on to the long vowels. Now, as we have talked about many, many times, phonics is something that when we were all brought up in school, none of us remember learning. We know now that we can read, we can write, we can do all those pieces, no problem. But when we were in school, we had to go back and learn all of those different methods and grammatical rules and all of those things. Up until this point, we have been focusing on knowing the letters, knowing the sounds, and being able to take those sounds and manipulate them in words. Now that we have been through the entire alphabet, we went through the entire alphabet again and we paired all those sounds with it. We did all that work with them. Now we are moving on to more of those trickier phonics rules where we have to really focus in on understanding what the rule means and applying it when we're seeing it. This is much more challenging than just knowing the letter and knowing the sound. Now we're going to have to use what we know about those letters already and pair an extra skill that comes along with it. So as we are working on this week, you may notice that your student is not picking it up as easily. That is okay. So this week we are doing long A. So with the vowel we know right now, if you asked our friends, what does A say? They would tell you, ah, ah, ah. Now we are moving on to long vowels. And my friends know vowels are special because they have two sounds. We haven't touched on the second sound yet. The second sound is that the vowel says its name. So A is not going to say ah in these words. It's going to say A. And we like to hold our hands really big for all of the vowels to represent that long sound. So there's a totally separate card that we're going to be using, a sound card that they'll be able to remember. Okay, A can say ah, but now I am learning that A also says A. And the rule that we're going to be focusing in on is one of my favorites. It's sneaky E. And some of my friends that are in my accelerated small group, we've done a little bit of work with this. GJ, August, I might need some of your help to be able to talk to our friends about what is the rule of sneaky E. So we're going to talk about that all this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The focus all week long is going to be long A. And the one thing, parents, that you're going to hear me say over and over again is that when E comes on the end of words, he sneaks on and he makes the vowel say its name. So in all of the words we're going to be practicing, the A is not going to say ah, it's going to say A. Okay, so we will spend some more time with that. You might feel a little crazy when you're thinking about learning all of these different phonics rules and thinking, well, I really didn't understand or know any of that before, but it's definitely helpful to know. It's also going to help to build our students to be better readers and better writers. Okay, so that's for phonics this week. For math, on last Friday, or was it Friday? What was our last day of school? I think it was Friday. We were going to play the game Make It 5. We ended up doing some spring-like and Easter-like activities instead, so we're going to be coming back and grabbing that on Tuesday. It's a game called Make It 5, and it's again talking about those composing and decomposing numbers, and we're going to be using that 5 frame to do it. Okay, on Wednesday, we're going to do a game called Mystery Numbers, and since we are doing this some virtually and then also in person, this is actually a 2-day activity that we're going to put into one. Students will be working on some things on the computer, and then my students in person are going to be using actual hands-on materials. And then on Thursday, we're going to play a game called Roll, Add, and Compare. And I like this game because we're going to get to use a number cube, or what you might call a dice, and we are going to do some work with taking those numbers, adding them together, and then comparing them. Okay, and then on Friday, we're coming back and we're going to revisit money again. Remember, we said before, we don't just do an activity and leave it and say we got it and move on. Sometimes we come back and revisit it. So we're going to come back to a game with money, and it's called A Dime and Some Pennies. And my friends hopefully can still tell you what the facts about a penny and the facts about a dime. So maybe give them a little quiz and see if you can get them to tell you, or maybe even just sing that money song. That might be helpful to jog their memory about those activities. Okay, so I think that is everything. Again, I will say check your email. Well, this video is going to be in there, so you're going to have checked it. And then also make sure you're looking at that new schedule so that when we get on tomorrow, we are ready to rock and roll with logging in and logging out. Some of my families are always available and there to help our students through our schedule, and that is fantastic. But I just want to make sure that our students that maybe are working a little bit more independently, that they're not getting confused, that they're aware of what the new schedule is so that I can help them as much as I can to get them on and off. And then if they happen to have to yell out to you while you're also working or working with other children and doing those things, that they can be successful in that so that they're not getting frustrated. Okay, as always, if you have any questions, you know where to reach me. Shoot me an email, send me a text. I'm always available. I will see my cohort A students tomorrow in person at 9:10, and I will see my virtual friends online by 9:25. I can't wait to see you. I've missed you very much. Everybody enjoy the last little bit of their spring break, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Mwah.